Hi, welcome to another lecture of JS Yatra. In this lecture, we are going to make image carousel. The level of this question is medium, so without wasting any time, let's get started. Instead, what we are going to build today, this would be a really awesome image carousel where you can see that we have rendered an image on the screen and we are having two navigation buttons. Although we could have improved on the UI, but again, this is up to you. This is what I came with. All right. So if you click on the right, you can see that the animation happens, and the second slide was shown with a really good animation, and you can go through the next one as well, like this. And when you move on to the last one, you come back to the first one if you are going beyond the limits, and simultaneously is the case if you are pressing back on the first image, you are taken up to the last. So if I press next on the last, I move to first. If I press back on the first, I move to last. And if I press back again, I can slide through all the images like this. So this is looking really awesome. This particular question is not just about building this image carousel component, but also understanding the mathematics behind it, like which is the best data structure to use, which is the best way to render the image, how are we going to, is it eager loading or lazy loading, or what kind of CSS are we going to use, and what are the various CSS properties that are going to fit with this particular image carousel, and obviously what are we choosing to animate the particular slide. So there is obviously a lot of thing that we are going to learn in this video, and trust me, image carousel is one of the most highly asked question in a machine coding interview. And I have also covered this particular question in the system design as well. You can compare the implementation in this particular video, and you can check out to the system design video as well. Although I can inform you that there are certain variations, you can find a little bit difference in the code which I have written and which I have explained in the system design video. It is not drastically very much different, but yeah, you will find minor differences here and there regarding the code and regarding a few of the approaches. But that is why, because I created a system design video first before actually implementing it. And although whatever I have said and spoken about the image carousel in the system design video is accurate, and whatever difference you are finding in the machine coding video over here, the variation is only because that after final implementation, you have to handle certain cases which you cannot think of when you are designing the component in the system design. So while actually implementing something, you come across certain scenarios. Okay, I have to handle it like with this way, or it is not working that way, or some or the other reasons. As said, the changes are not drastically different. Whatever logic or steps I have mentioned in the system design is what I have followed over here as well. Only just that you will find minor differences here and there. All right, enough talking, and I have also showed you what we are going to build right now. Now let us jump into the code. All right, so we are here at the code sandbox again. So in this code sandbox, first of all, let us create our carousel component. We can create our component like this, carousel.js6, and it would be just a regular React function. So we'll create a carousel functional component. Const is a functional component which will return a div export default carousel. And let us import this carousel into the app.js file. Import carousel from /carousel, and in this carousel we are going to render it over here like this. This is a simple carousel, and what am I rendering? Let me render high. Okay, this is looking fine. And in the styles, we can get rid of those styles, we don't actually need it. And let us not decide, as said, this is our rule, this is our procedure. First of all, we decide onto the props, and if you have already watched the system design video, which I would recommend watching first, or you can watch the machine coding right now and watch the system design later. It doesn't really make much difference. But yeah, so let us decide on what we are going to have and what we are going to receive as the props. The obvious thing we'll be needing is the array of images. So we are going to make a prop images. This would be an array, and obviously in this array, not like this, yep, like this. So in this array, what we are going to receive is the images. So it would be an object with src. It would be having some src and some alternative text that we have to show. All right, and we can repeat this like this, the number of images you want to show over here. So let me fill up this array with some data. All right, so I have filled everything, all the images that we require. I am using pixels. Pixels, you can go to pixels over here, and they provide free images to you. You can use it for your project as well. It is a really good website. So coming back to the props, yeah, we were discussing the props. So we have the list of the images that we are going to need, and apart from this, what we need, yeah, and apart from this, we also need a height, we need a width, and we need a property loop. By default, looping is true. I'll tell you what it is. So coming to height is what you can see, that the height of the whole carousel. So this is the height and this is the width. Okay, so we provided the height and width configuration of the carousel itself, and this is the loop property. So if I am at the last image and I try to go forward, I am taken back to the first image, right? Or if I'm at the first image, I try to go backward, I am taken to the last image. So this is a looping feature. So if this is fall, I cannot go further beyond this particular limit. Okay, so this is the looping feature for it, and these are the various props that we need for now. All right, and let us proceed further. So we are having images, we are having height, we are having width, and we are receiving the loop. Okay, so first of all, let us design the overall HTML structure or the JSX structure. So we are having a div. This would be our carousel container, and we have a div again. This would be our image wrapper. Okay, and this image wrapper would contain all the images for us. We are mapping over the images.map a particular image, and then I am rendering the image tag, and each particular image item is an object, obviously. So we are going to destructure this object from src and alt. So I am getting src, I am getting alt, src equals to src, alt is going to be alt, and also let us have it running somewhere so that we can see what we have made. All right, so we are seeing all the images, but again, it is looking really nasty. We haven't done anything so far. So to fix it, again, so at least we should consume the height and the width properties. So height is going to be height, and I can see something is looking better, and the width is going to be width, and it is looking somewhat better now. Let us refresh on the big screen. Okay, this is not reflected yet. Why so? All right, so over here you can see that all the images are of equal size, but yet certain images are really stretched and they are not looking good. So we need to fix this, and this is what an interviewer might be asking you as well. So there are various ways which we could have taken up this approach. One way was to render it via the img tags, and another way was using the css background image. But if we have using css background image, the problem with that would have been, let's suppose I created a div. Okay, I am going with that background approach. So first of all, I would have to use this inline style properties like this, and then I have to write background image like this, and then some text over, random text over here. So you can see that I had to pass this URL over here like this and interpolate the variable src like this. So this is not a good way, right? So if I comment this img thing over here, this is, and if I write something, you can see that this is how it is going to look. Already we need to specify the height and width, and it is going to look exactly same as image. But try to see the lot, we are doing a lot of work over here. And this, if I compare this particular thing, div style background image url src, with this image approach, I nearly found this image approach really, first of all, it is really clean, and secondly, we are using the correct semantics to render an image. So to render an image, we obviously need to render it via the img tags, right? Rendering images via background image inside a div tag is semantically wrong, and interviewer will not be happy if you go with this approach, because you are violating the semantics. So you have to be semantically correct, and you have to use image. So we'll be using the image thing over here, and trust me, what I told you just now is not understood by many, and many will make mistake of using the background image. Why? Because all they want was to use background size cover. I can show you how it would work. So if you give the height and the width perfectly like this, let me give it over here, height pixels. So this is going to get the height, and I should give the width as well. So width would be like this, width, and if I write pixels, okay, oops, one, no more space, and if I refresh it, yep, you can see that it is giving me the same structure, and I can have it a self-closing tag. No need of having those like this. So you can see that it is there. It is giving me the same thing that was achieved via img src, and still you can see that the images are not completely present, right? What I mean by that is, if you compare, if I comment this out and again show you this thing, remember the first image is coming like this, right? It is coming like this. It has a start and it has a complete end, although it is still stretched. But what we were receiving in with the background image, this is completely hilarious, right? This is completely hilarious. We need to fix that if we are going with the background size background image approach. So there is a one property called as background size, and if I just pass cover over here like this and I refresh it, you can see that okay, the images are looking fine, right? They are looking really fine this time. You can see that none of the images getting cropped, and you can define the image position and other things as well. But still, if you compare other stuffs, image, it is still not good. We can fix the image stretching issue in the image tags as well, and you can obviously see that this particular code is not looking good at all, and it is looking very messy, and it will require a high amount of maintenance to maintain this particular code. So I would not recommend you going through this background image approach, okay? Instead, we should be going with this img thing. All right, so this is the img src for you. And how we can fix that thing, it is really very simple. So if we come back and see how it is looking, so it is looking again stretched. So we need to fix that. It is really very simple. What you need to do is you can so we haven't written the styles yet. Let me cut this thing and move to over here, and let me write the styles for the carousel, image wrapper, and other stuffs. But the important part that I wanted you to know was, let me write this up. image, image, no, we should call it carousel image. Okay, and let me write a magic property. All I wanted to add was object fit and a cover, and let us refresh it and see the magic. Whoa, this is looking really nice, right? So if you compare the previous version, you can come go back to the previous timestamp and check, and come back to this time and check. There is a drastic image difference, right? This is looking really awesome. So this is why I wanted to go with the image tag approach, because the semantics of the images are retained, plus you get high control on the images size as well. And yeah, so this was the image thing. We are mapping over the images and I am rendering the image over here. Okay, so we have written css for carousel image, and we also have to write the css for carousel. So let me write the css for carousel as well. And trust me, css, writing good css is really very critical for this image carousel question, because you'll be highly judged based on your css skills as well, because you have to deal with images here, and you have to make sure that which property is best for a particular scenario, right? So coming to the carousel question, so we have a height and width of the carousel. Although the images are having their height, and that is why the carousel is having a height width of 400 and 800. And for now, let us just hard code the values. Okay, the carousel, and we'll make this dynamic as well. Okay, don't get lost. Okay, I'm just, since you won't know what properties are going to change in future, and while you are developing the feature. Okay, so for now we'll start off with static properties, and then we'll instantly shift to the dynamic ones. So for now I am just hard coding the values. Height and width is like 800 pixels. This is for the carousel, and you can check the carousel over here. Nothing should be changed. This is looking fine. Height and width is changed, and we had image wrapper. Image wrapper is where the things change, right? This is the place. I'll just, to make these images in a horizontal fashion, I can write display flex, and I can write overflow of hidden. And if I just refresh it, you can see that images are looking way much better. But again, we are missing something. What's the problem, and why is it looking like this? It should have been looking like this, right? What's the problem? So let us inspect it and understand the root cause at the root level. So you can see that this particular image, it is having accurate height, it is having accurate width, but it is not having that accurate aspect ratio that I am expecting. So it is having an aspect ratio of auto 800 by 400, but instead the aspect ratio should have been this particular value, what we have written right now. It should be so it is always height upon width. Okay, sorry, I said the opposite. It is always width upon the height. The aspect ratio is 800 by 400, should be 800 by 400 and not auto 800 by 400. So our aspect ratio should be 2 over here, and so it should be 800 divided by 400. And if I save this and refresh, you can see that the images are now having proper height and width. Okay, we can inspect why other images are not coming. The other images are not coming because image wrapper is having a display of overflow of hidden. If I just remove it, you can see all the images start coming as soon as it is there. So it is having an overflow of hidden. It is taking the width of the carousel. So carousel is having a width of 800. So by default, image wrapper would also not go beyond 800 pixels. So that is why image carousel is of width 800 and having a property of this overflow hidden. The rest of the images are not shown. Okay, so this was a basic structure of the image carousel. Now what we can see that we are having very hard coded values over here and we have to fix them immediately. So to fix those values, obviously you know how we have been dealing with dynamic CSS variables via the style.set property. So to do that, again we need a ref const carousel wrapper is equals to use ref. Okay, this is the thing over here, and use layout effect. Why we need use layout effect? We have been talking about use layout effect for quite a while now. You can check the previous videos if you haven't to know about why we are using the use layout effect. It is just because that we want all the layout related properties to be already present in the component before the component actually gets painted on the screen. All right, so we are having the use layout effect, and we are having the carousel wrapper is over here. So we are having ref equals to ref like this, and we have to set the properties. So we have to do carousel wrapper dot current dot style dot set pro set property. All right, and we need actually three properties, so I'll keep it like this. And we have to define the height and width. So we are having height is going to be in pixels, so we need interpolation of variables, height pixels, and we need a width as well, width pixels, and we also need a aspect ratio calculation over here only, aspect ratio, and it is width divided by height. And yeah, I think this should be okay. And obviously we need to create these variables over here. It is really very simple. All you need to do is a root, and you copy all the variables like this. You provide the fallback values. So by default, let's say I want a height of 200 pixels, and by default I want the width of just the double, right? So I want 400 pixels, and by default I want to keep the aspect ratio of 1. All right, and we can consume these variables over here like this. We are having a var height, we are having a var width, and also we need the aspect ratio over here. So var aspect ratio, and let us see that if nothing should get changed, and this is looking like before. And what we have achieved so far, we have achieved dynamic properties. So let's suppose in future if we are increasing it to 1000 pixels and to 500 height, it should automatically adjust itself accurately without any changes required in the carousel component or in its CSS file. So this was one major milestone that we achieved. And yeah, and so to the next part, we are coming back over here, and it is asking me to add height and width as dependencies, and which is okay. We have added it over here. All right, this is looking good, and now is the time to make this thing interactable and to add the buttons as well. So we are going to add the buttons over here. We are having buttons, and we are having a class name. These are carousel buttons, so there would be one common class for each buttons. So carousel button, and this is a next right, this is a next button, so this is going to be the next button is always denoted by greater than, so it would be ampersand gt And we also need a on click handler, and let us create a placeholder for it. Const handle what handle swipe. Okay, this is what will pass over here, and I'll have it as not done. So let's keep the next one at the below, and we'll update the first one as the previous, and it should be LT. Okay, you are having two nice buttons over here. Now we should write some CSS for it. All right. So we don't want these buttons to go beyond the boundaries of the image carousel like it is happening right now. That is why we will keep these two things as position absolute, and we'll keep the carousel as a relative so that it remains inside the boundary of the carousel. So this would be position relative, and I'll quickly write the CSS for the carousel buttons so that they look right. So carousel button is again having a top 50%, position absolute, translate y minus 50%, background color white, border gray, font size this, and left and right. I hope this is pretty much clear to you. What this particular thing is doing, that this is making sure that the buttons are aligned center of like this of the image. You can see that let me it should be previous and it should be next. All right, you can see that these images are aligned in the vertical, right? They are in the middle of the whole image. And how is this happening? This is possible because of this transform and top property. So even if I don't give this, let me get rid of this and let me comment this out, transform, and let us see how much they have shifted. You can see that they are over here, and but still it doesn't feels like they are exactly in the center. What missing is that they should be also center from their axis itself, and that is why we need a transform minus 50%, and this will make sure that these images are accurately aligned in the middle no matter what. So this was aligning these buttons over here, and now is the time to write some logic for the next and the previous, and this is like actually the brain of this particular component. All right, so now is the time to write the code for the handle swipe. Since we have a common function for both previous and forward navigations, what required essentially is that we differentiate. Okay, handle swipe was called by a previous button or it was called by the forward button. So to fix that, to handle that scenario, what we can ideally do is we can call the handle swipe method like this, and when it is being called with previous, I pass a flag of previous, and when it is called with next or the forward navigation, I called it next. Okay, this is a simple thing. And over here we can treat this argument with a parameter name as a direction. All right, so we'll need this direction whether it was a forward or backward, and whatever be the case, first of all let us somehow determine a way to scroll this image, right? So we have already noticed that this particular image wrapper is having a overflow hidden. This means that there is obviously a chance to make image wrapper scroll. Okay, so how are we going to achieve that? Is that we are going to create a ref, and I'll call it as a image wrapper. Okay, and I pass the ref over here. Ref equals to not like this but like this, image wrapper. All right, in this image wrapper what I am going to do is we are having image wrapper ref, so we can do is whenever I am calling handle swipe function all I do is I do image wrapper dot current dot scroll to scroll to, and I say left what left say I say 200. Okay, and I say the behavior is smooth. All right, so let us see how is this looking. And if I click it over here, you can see that it is actually navigating. Yeah, so actually this scroll amount was really small, that is why we didn't see much of the animation. So if I write the width of the image over here, then probably we'll see a really nice slide, and it is not behaving like. All right, why it is not behaving? All right, I think I have figured the issue, because the issue is in my spelling. Sorry for that. And this should work now. Yeah, this is working. All right, so we have this thing and we have this animated look, and I wanted to show you how this scroll to works behind the scene. So every time when I let me refresh it, okay, and come to the logic. So I am calling handle swipe on either of the click of the previous or the next button, and by default I am scrolling it by amount of 800 pixels. So it should ideally mean that that every time I click any button, the image wrapper should slide by 800 pixels always. Is that so? Then we can check it out. If I clicked on this like this, and I try click, I am clicking it on it, but it is not sliding forward. Why is this happening? Because this left is the scroll position and not the scroll amount. Okay, there is a difference. So if this had been a scroll amount, then this 800 pixel would have been continuously added, but this left is actually the scroll position. So if your image wrapper is of width, for example, the image wrapper, okay, this is the image wrapper, for example, the width of this image wrapper is 100 pixels, and there are 10 individual items that are inside this particular slide. All right, and by default you are having an overflow hidden, as we have done in this particular carousel example. Now there are actually, since the width of the image wrapper is 100 pixels, so overall the scrolling space is 100 pixels only. All right, so there are scroll positions starting from 0 all the way till 100, and if you say left of 20 for example, so you are stating that please move the scroll bar to the position of position 20. If I say 80, that means I am moving to the position 80, not by amount 80. Okay, there is a difference. So this is what this particular value is telling us. So if I am having if I want to make items scroll, so let's say this particular image carousel is of width 100 pixels, each image is of 10 pixel in width, then I am having scroll position at every 10 pixels. So I start with 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, or I can say that 10 like the first image would be at scroll position 0, that is index 0. So 0 into 10 gives us 0. Now I am talking maths. Okay, so listen carefully and try to visualize. So the first, so we discussed that the width is 100 pixels. Each image is of width 10 pixels. So there are actually 10 scroll positions by default. Now for the first image, it has to be at a scroll position 0, or 0 we can say that 0 cross 10 gives us 0. The first scroll position is now at 10. All right, so 10 is how we get 1 cross 10. So first image is having index 0 in the array. The second image is having index 1. So 1 cross 10 gives us 10, that is the scroll position. For image number 3, the index is 2. 2 cross 10 gives us 20, and 20 is the scroll position needed. So 0, 10, 20. Okay, this is how it is. 0, 10 and 20. This is how this is going to work. So first element at position 0, followed incremented by 10, then by 20, and so on. Okay, so this is how I am going to calculate the scroll position for each of the element, and for that we really need some information about what is the active index on the screen. For example, in the example you can see, if I refresh, we are at the first image, so this is the 0th image. All right, this is a implemented example which I am showing you right now. This is the 0th image. Okay, so the scroll position is 0. If I increment it by 1, so this is the second image with index 1, so the scroll amount would be 1 cross 10. This is 10. The next image is image 3, which index 2. 2 cross 10 gives us 20. The last image is the, as you can calculate automatically. So this is how we are having all the scrolling positions, determining the scroll positions, and this is how we determine by the index. If the first image is over here, so the active image index is 0, then this is 1, this is 2, this is 3. Okay, so there are actually 4 images. And for the last one, what is the scroll amount? This is going to be what? This is a 4th image, so the index is 3. 3 cross 10 gives us 30. All right, so this is how we are going to determine the scroll positions and the scroll amount, and we are going to keep a track of the active image on the screen. So let us now write the code for the same. So we definitely want to keep a tracker of the numbers. So I am going to create active index is equals to use ref, and initially it is 0. All right, so now we are going to handle the value of and active index. Why we have not created a state? Because actually we will be not be consuming that state variable anywhere in the JSX. So it is better to create a ref, because if we will be using a state variable, then it would be causing a lot of re-renders on the screen. That is something that we don't want. So to avoid multiple re-renders, what we are doing is we are maintaining a ref, and this way we are going to avoid a lot of re-renders. So on this active index, what we are having is so when you are clicking forward or backward, so the active index has to be changed. So active index dot current equals to, if the direction is previous, okay, then we are going to decrement the index. Okay, if you are clicking backwards, then you are going backwards, right? So the value of the index has to decrement by 1. So this would be active index dot current minus 1. Otherwise it means that you are going forward, then it would be active index dot current plus 1. Okay, this is how we are updating. Let me show you the complete code. So this is what we have written over here. Now based on this, we also have to handle the boundary conditions. So we do not want the user to go beyond the boundaries. So if the user cannot go backward than the first image, the user cannot go beyond the last image. Okay, so if the new index, which is active index dot current, if it is less than 0 after the update, then what I want to do is I ideally would want active index dot current to be set to 0, because I don't want him to go beyond the boundaries. And simultaneously, if my active index current dot length is greater than or equal to images dot length, then if he is going beyond the boundaries, then active index dot current is equals to images dot length minus 1. Okay, and we have to also write the logic for the left. So I have already told you that multiplication logic, index multiplied by the scroll amount. So that is what we are going to use. So we are going to do active index multiplied by width. Okay, and this should work for us. So let us see this in the action. So if I scroll, if I scroll, if I scroll, if I'm clicking on this button again, I am not scrolling anywhere. If I am going back, I can go back, I can go back, and beyond this I am not able to go back further because I am at the boundary, right? So this is the logic. And but in this part, in the implementation, for the final implementation, you can see that I am allowing the user to go beyond the boundaries and come back to the original one. So how is this happening? This is happening because of the loop flag, right? We discussed before. So if the loop is true, then we are going to like allow the users to jump backward and forward on the slides. So all we need to update over here is, so this was a scenario where we discussed that if he is going less than in the boundaries, so if he is like going below the boundary of the first index, and if the loop is true, so if the loop is true, then I want him to move to the last index, otherwise go to the first index. And simultaneously over here as well, if loop is true, then if he is at the last boundaries, then I want him to come at the first, otherwise go at the bottom, go at the last one. So let us see this in action again and see if it is working. So I am at the first image. Now if I go backwards, I am actually moving to the last one. If I go like this, I am coming to the first one. If I go back again, so this is working really fine, and I can move forward like this, and I'm coming back to the first slide. I can go back, I can go back like this, like this, like this, and again. So this is really, really awesome. Okay. And I guess we have covered the feature that we wanted to build, and what currently we are missing right now is certain optimizations. Obviously, if you are having a large list of images, I don't want all the images to load concurrently at the same time. I would want them to have a loading lazy property. That is one thing. And obviously these functions need to be present inside a use callback, because I don't want them to be recreated again and again. And let us see what are the dependencies: array, images.length, loop, and width. So I'll pass all of those variables. Images.length, let me take it like this, and the loop variable, this shall do it. And we have used the loose layout effect. This is good. And we are having a button component here as well. So two optimizations added. One was adding a loading lazy, and we wrapped this handle swipe inside a use callback. So these were the two optimizations. Next, what we can implement is autoplay feature. Like I missed adding that in the initial. So if I say autoplay, okay, true, this means that we have to automatically swipe the slides after certain intervals. So we can have this autoplay feature over here, and this is over here like this. So we are going to consume this autoplay thing for us. So we can come over here, and by default let us assume that it is true, and I can write use effect and a dependency array. And we need a set interval to iterate it again and again on the images. So I can call it as const timer equals to use not use set interval with let's say 3000 milliseconds. And what I want to do is I want to perform a handle swipe as a next button. So we'll mimic every after 3 seconds that as if a next button was clicked, and this is what it is. And we also would want to perform the cleanup of this particular thing. So timer, we are going to perform a clear interval timer. Okay. and we also should pass the handle swipe as a dependency array, and we can refresh it over here, and let's see if it is working. Called 1, called 2. So called 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see all these logs I have added over here. Console.log called. So you can see that which index is currently being rendered. You can see 3, then back to 4. So you might be confused why it is showing 4 over here. So it is because like I have added the console over here. If I add the console at the last after the final update of the variable and I refresh it, you can see that a proper variable names shall be present. Once 1, 2, 3. All right. And also we are seeing that a warning is present. I think I missed adding the key on the map. So we can add this key equals to the index, and the error should be gone. And obviously we would want this interval to work only if autoplay is true. So we don't want to create timers over here. So I'll say if not autoplay, then just return and do nothing. And I'll have to pass autoplay as well. And this should work fine. So if I go ahead and write autoplay as false, and this should just work. It should not scroll automatically. But if I make it as true, then it should start automatically scrolling. And if I say the loop is false but autoplay is true, then if I say the loop is false, then what would be the scenario in this case? So let us see how it behaves right now. Call 1, 2, 3, and it is calling it again and again and again, right? So this is not what we want. So to fix this, I think this is a really simple thing. What you can check over here is, after you have called handle swipe, if if not loop and active index dot current equals to 0, or active index dot current equals to images dot length -1, then clear interval timer. And what it is saying, I think it is trying to say something. Yeah, I need to add images dot length and loop as a dependency array. Images dot length, and where is the loop? Yep. And let us try to refresh and see if it is working. So we are here, called 1, call 2, call 3. Will it call 4 or will it call 3 again? No, it didn't. It stopped right there only, right? And if I make a loop as true again and refresh, so 1, 2, 3, yeah, let's go. Oh, so something went wrong, and let us see to that. So if it is saying that if not loop, if loop is false. Okay, so actually there was an issue with the brackets. I don't know how it got added like this, but it was supposed to be like this. Yes, and it should work now. So 1, 2, 3, back to 0, 1. Right, this is working fine, right? So, and obviously one more thing, this 3000 must be should come as a prop. So auto play duration should be 3000, and we should take this, pass it over here, and pass it over here as well, and add it and the dependency array. Yo, this is perfectly fine. And those who are still confused what I write over here, I had written nothing. It is just like if the loop is false, if the looping feature is false, and we have reached the boundary, if we are at the 0th index, or we are at the image length -1, then please clear the interval. All right, so let us final thing, we can get rid of this console. And yeah, so this was the image carousel machine coding question for you. I hope you liked this lecture. And if you have any questions, then you can join us on the Discord channel, or you can ping in the Graphy community as well. But I do suggest that if you can, you should join the Discord community, because we are much active there. So I'll be able to resolve your doubts and queries more quickly. So this was all in this lecture. See you in the next one.